John Hudak, the publisher of Tucson Lifestyle magazine, was born and raised in Pittsburgh and moved to Tucson in 1975. He graduated from the University of Arizona with degrees in journalism and creative writing. After graduation, John put in 3 decades with Madden Media. John's tenure with Madden was marked by significant growth from less than 10 employees to more than 100, with clients in more than 40 states. Under his leadership, Madden won hundreds of industry awards, including the U.S. Travel Association Mercury Award, the Web Marketing Association Best of Show, and Best Travel Advertising for Co-op Internet Advertising. In 2016, John left Madden to found a strategy and consulting business whose clients included Arizona Lodging and Tourism Association, Visit Tucson, HSL Properties, On Media Inc., among others, before taking the helm at Tucson Lifestyle. John has served on the board of directors for the U.S. Travel Association, the California Travel Association, the Texas Tourism Industry Association, and the Southeast Tourism Society. John has been honored with numerous tourism, media, and community service awards, including the Shining Example Award from the Southeast Tourism Society, the Ambassador Award from Travel South USA, Media Person of the Year Award from the Southern Arizona Advertising Federation, Arts Supporter of the Year from the Tucson Pima Arts Council, and Alumnus of the Year for the University of Arizona English Department. John presently serves on numerous boards, including the UA Presents, UA College of Social and Behavioral Sciences. He's the current president of Boys to Men Tucson, and he's founded 4 nonprofit arts and education organizations. John has 2 children, a 23-year-old son and a 27-year-old daughter. Let's have a warm Rotary welcome for John Hudak.
Good afternoon. And I'm taping this on April 1st, and these are actually very serious times. I'm grateful for the opportunity to talk to you all right now and connect virtually during these unprecedented dark times. And I do think that communication is part of community, and I'm glad that you all, as the Rotary Club of Tucson, are keeping your community together. So I'm going to talk today about the evolution and the changes that I've made in Tucson Lifestyle magazine, and I'll get into why I think a city magazine and a vibrant city magazine is an important component of any city. But I also have added some slides at the end, if we have time permitting. I'm going to talk a little bit about marketing during a crisis, because I've participated in national webinars and a lot of stuff recently, dug up some articles from the Harvard Business Review, and there's some wisdom and some research and some data that, if we have time, I'll share. So in the interest of time, I'll just get moving right along. So I started at Tucson Lifestyle about a year ago, and that was after my 30 years with Madden Media, and I came in as the new guy. I knew how and why we did things at Madden Media the way we did them, but why at Tucson Lifestyle? So I asked questions of the staff, asked questions of advertisers, ad agencies, non-advertisers, and previous advertisers. I asked them all the same things. What do you like? What don't you like? If you could change something, what would you change? Then I also did an analysis of the competitive landscape. I looked at the Desert Leaf. I looked at Biz Tucson. I looked at the Tucson Weekly, the Arizona Daily Star. I looked at online stuff. I looked at TV. So I analyzed the competitive landscapes. Then I did another thing. I looked at successful city magazines in other markets, and I looked for what were their best practices. What I learned first is that city magazines are relevant and growing. I was fortunate last May, I got to go to the annual City and Regional Magazine Publishers Conference in Minneapolis, and they had a presentation from a guy from the National Magazine Publishers Association. And there were some key takeaways that I'm going to share from that because the whole marketing and media landscape has changed over the years recently, and people thought print was dead. But this guy actually said that this is not news to everybody. National magazines are declining in subscribers and in advertisers. But the one category of magazines that are growing are city magazines. And you don't have to see his whole presentation to know why they're growing. Daily newspapers in every community across the country aren't what they used to be. And yet people care about where they live. So the fact that city magazines have a glossy coffee table presentation, a month-long shelf life, they're able to do stuff that newspapers aren't doing as much anymore and can't afford to do as much anymore. More thoughtful, in-depth articles. So moving right along, the fact that print, and people think that only baby boomers read magazines. That's no longer true. And I learned that from this presentation on the national publishers. And the fact of the matter is that those under 35 are reading magazines. Those under 25 are reading magazines. Now, they're not consuming them as much as they do information on their phones or on their computer screens, but magazines are part of the niche. And actually, from the fact that people are doing selfies all the time, that photos are an important part, and magazines do lush, beautiful photography in every issue. So magazines are relevant with all demographics that are relevant to businesses. There's another reason why print in general is a good marketing vehicle. So what's happening now, they have brain mapping and they have a lot of science behind how people actually digest information off of their screens, okay? And they know that when you're reading thing on a screen, you're actually in more of a research mode, okay? You're kind of skimming. When you read a book, or when you read a magazine, you're sitting down and you're in more reflective mode. You're actually more open to various messaging. And frankly, nowadays people have ad blockers. They don't like to be stalked after they've Google searched something. I mean, there's more of a reaction to digital marketing in today's marketplace than there was even 5 years ago. So people don't like being creeped out on Facebook by various things. And so the magazines are particularly a good environment for marketing and messaging in a lot of ways. Okay. So back to Tucson Lifestyle, what I did at Tucson Lifestyle. How do you reinvigorate a magazine that's been around for 38 years and actually has survived the Great Recession and 9/11 and the changes in the media landscape? Part of it was reinvigorating my staff and regrounding ourselves in who we are in the community and what we mean. So we developed a new mission statement. And the mission statement goes, Tucson Lifestyle strives to make the aspirational Tucson and Southern Arizona accessible and real for all our readers to enjoy and share why we love where we live. With lush photography, compelling stories, informative departments, plus targeted special interest sections, Tucson Lifestyle celebrates the people, the cultural and nonprofit organizations, the events, homes, gardens, landscapes, activities, food, and the businesses that make living in Tucson unique and fulfilling. So that's our mission statement. Then our core values. What are our touchstones every day to guide us? We want to be compassionate. We want to be high quality. We want to be authentic. We want to be value driven. We want to be philanthropic. We want to be inspirational, and we want to be trustworthy. Those are our core values. So a great city deserves a great city magazine, and that's what we're striving to do every month at Tucson Lifestyle. So in order to reinvigorate it, I said I analyzed the competitive landscape and I analyzed what Tucson Lifestyle was doing. So Tucson Lifestyle a year ago was publishing 27,000 copies a month. 5,000 of those were going into hotel rooms. Now, some of that was survival strategy legacy from before. Back in the mid-90s, Tucson Lifestyle was publishing as many as 36,000 copies a month, okay? And the visitor market, all of us know the visitor market's very important to Tucson. But as they declined in circulation to try and survive the Great Recession and do everything, Tucson kept growing. So in order to be relevant and to reach enough educated, affluent readers, I needed to do something. So I increased circulation from 27,000 to 30,000 a month. I took the 5,000 copies out of the hotel rooms, and I'm now, those additional 8,000 publications every month, I'm distributing to members of Arizona Public Media. I basically donated those to Arizona Public Media, and I've created a strategic partnership. So they're a electronic media, I'm a print media. Now we partner together on all kinds of different things, including, our readership and their members. So it's a good relationship for both people. And so, Tucson Lifestyle had always reached the most affluent readers in Tucson. Arizona Public Media has affluent readers, but also the most educated. So it was a perfect kind of partnership for the two of us to combine the both. So what I did was increase circulation by 12% and increased in-home distribution by 50% to get more, influencers in Tucson, decision makers of substance in Tucson with the magazine every month, and I did no rate increase. So 2020 showcased the new, bolder Tucson lifestyle in January, and we celebrated why we love where we live. Let me just show you the latest cover of the April issue. Okay, we're doing a story on species loss now. Tucson Lifestyle would never have done a story like that before. Granted, everybody still wants to see who was at the charity balls, and everybody likes to see a good kitchen remodel or bathroom remodel and landscaping ideas. That kind of content is valuable. I will say, not long ago, I was talking to a millennial who's the director of marketing for the Community Foundation of Southern Arizona. We were helping them celebrate their 40th anniversary, and she's like, I look forward every month to reading the gardening article in Tucson Lifestyle because I want to know what to garden. So the fact that millennials use this as a resource every month, that's great. I'll just go back. So during my career with Madden Media, we were in 43 states. We were a national company in our little niche of travel and tourism marketing. And we had strategic partnerships with the Oprah magazine, with National Geographic Traveler, with Food and Wine, with Travel and Leisure, and with Outside Magazine. And I would go to New York a few times a year meeting with those publishers and editors, talking about how we work together. And I know no matter what kind of magazine you do, your goal is to get your readers to look forward to at least one, if not more, feature stories every month, and at least one, if not more, departments every month. So what I try to do is not leave anything out that Tucson Lifestyle had been doing well for so long, but adding some stuff that they had not been doing. So here's an overview of the last 4 covers. So in the January issue, we did a story on the Red Dress Project, which is actually an exhibit that was passing through Tucson that's traveling around the country, and it actually started in Canada to raise awareness to the fact that murdered and missing Indigenous women are the most preyed upon category in our society anywhere. And so not only do we have reservations in our own backyard in Tucson, but Arizona nationally, we ranked number 3 for murdered and missing Indigenous women. So I wanted to do my part with the magazine about raising awareness to that. We also did a story on medical marijuana because it's going to be on the ballot in the fall. Should we make it recreational? Shouldn't we not? We've got 7 years under our belt of living with it. How's it working? How's that going for us? So then February, we called it the cyber issue, and because it's February, we did do a thing on online dating, but we also did about cyber crimes, and we had examples of local businesses that have been, the victims of cybercrime. March, the cover story was on Riedo Racetrack and horse racing. The national news, there's been a lot of horse deaths. It's also animal rights activists listening. So our local touchstone to that was in March, Riedo Downs is open. And also there have been questions, should Riedo Downs become more soccer fields or whatever? So we did a story on that. So we're trying to do more thoughtful stories that are more newsworthy, kind of service journalism in some ways. that lifestyle hasn't done in the past. And we're getting, frankly, good feedback for that. I mean, March was 148 pages and April's 148 pages. Unfortunately, with the COVID situation, May is going to be about 84 pages. But we are still publishing and communicating with our readers. So in any event, here's just an example of the redesign. We did redesign the whole magazine. Some of you might remember that Tucson Lifestyle had flip covers. On the back was Tucson Lifestyle Home and Garden, and on the front was the regular Tucson Lifestyle magazine. We eliminated that. Again, very few magazines in the country have ever done anything like that. The fact that Tucson Lifestyle combined a separate publication into one during the Great Recession, that was a survival technique. Right now, we're just doing one big, beautiful magazine with a better flow from beginning to end for our readers and uninterrupted by the flip cover. So again, we still have the same good content that we've always had. We've added some stuff called short takes. Most magazines have a lot of shorter information up front, then they have a lush feature well, and then they have more in the back, and we follow that. So again, the same kind of content about homes and home remodels. Okay, so coming to the end of my presentation on Tucson Lifestyle and trying to leave time for the rest of it. Oh, I lost my timer. But anyways, so we're winging it. But what do you do for the visitors market? So those are all the things that I did for Tucson Lifestyle, the mothership. What I did for the visitor market, which is still a multi-billion-dollar industry a year for Tucson, although the hotels are struggling these days with COVID. But I created a brand new magazine to go in rooms at the hotels and the resorts. So Tucson Lifestyle was 5,000 copies a month there all the time. The reality is every city magazine does some bread and butter issues. Top Docs, which we have coming up in June. Best Lawyers, which we have coming up in July. Anyways, but our visitors don't really care who our best lawyers are or necessarily our top docs. So that kind of content wasn't so relevant for the visitors in the rooms, and that distribution wasn't relevant and wasn't good for my advertisers. A lot of my core advertisers, banks, financial planners, car dealers, those kind of things, they were buying wasted circulation in the hotel rooms. So now I've eliminated that wasted circulation and I've got it into targeted households. But what did I do for the visitors? So I created a magazine. What I knew from my years at Madden, we had lots of research. I was actually on the board for the U.S. Travel Association and California Travel Association, Texas, and I saw a lot of research on visitors and what they like and what they look for. What we know is that every visitor, when they go visit someplace, says to themselves at one point, what would it be like to live here? And they want to know what the locals know. What are the hidden secrets? So no in-room magazine publisher has ever published as many stories about Tucson as Tucson Lifestyle. So I went into our archives and we've created the Essential Insider's Guide to Tucson, and it's curated content for the in-room guests. All right? So now I do want to share some wisdom, research, and strategy for marketing during a crisis. I think we're doing okay time-wise. No one's cut me off yet. Bob hasn't brought out the
That's why we have editing.
Okay.
No, you're good.
These are unprecedented times. You know, I'm 63 and survived 9/11 and the Great Recession and have not seen anything like this. So I participated in some, national conferences, webinars, and other things recently to find out how to do it. And I don't know if we can send electronic links. There's a great article from the Harvard Business Review and another one from Adweek that if we're able to share, I'll send those along to you digitally later. But one thing from David Ogilvy, a legendary advertiser from the agency Ogilvy and Mathers, when times are good, you should advertise. When times are bad, you must advertise. The noise level in a brand's product category can drop when competitors cut back. And I've had many, many advertisers pull out of the May issue particularly and going dark for right now. Some of their competitors are staying in the May issue. So who gains market share and who doesn't and how that happens, some of the stuff we'll get into is actually often, as long as you produce a good product or service, you can not only gain the market share during a downtime, but retain it afterwards. So consumers are restless, and these days they're at home a lot, and they're looking to make changes and buying, and they're doing a lot of looking around, and they have time to read my magazine. So how do we do that? First, advertisers need to recognize that advertising is muscle, not fat. A lot of businesses right now are making incredibly difficult decisions. And on the phone every day, I talk to local business owners, whether it's Sparkle Cleaners or Sam Levitt's Furniture or Copenhagen, who are literally laying off people, eliminating positions, shutting down for the next 30 to 60 days, maybe. They're worried about their workers getting sick. They're worried about, consumers judging them. And actually, I heard a great segment on NPR the other day about how consumers will judge marketers about how they did and did not advertise during this downturn. And so being sensitive to the current situation, not tone deaf, not just doing the same advertising and not responding to the current situation is not a good messaging. So while you need to stay in the market if you can afford it, you also need to be conscious of the kind of messaging. But again, marketing is muscle, not fat. The fact of the matter that it's not personnel, it's not electricity, it's not your internet access. People are saying, I can cut my marketing budgets. And maybe that is the best business decision you need to make. But if you can afford it, staying in the marketplace during the downturn is a good one. So here's some historic examples. In the recession of 73 to 75, Honda and Volkswagen, who were leaders in the marketplace at the time, Toyota was a newcomer and needed to gain market share. They upped their spend. They gained market share, okay? During the 1980 through 85 recession, okay? You can see where the recession starts there in year one, and all these bars, it's a little confusing in this kind of format, but the takeaways are that if you didn't cut your spending, and if you were able to continue, that you gained a market share through 1980 to 85. The 1990 recession, okay. McDonald's, everybody thought McDonald's didn't need to advertise. McDonald's, everybody knows McDonald's, so they can afford to go dark for a while. They did. So their competitors didn't, and they gained market share, okay. So 2008, the Great Recession, Domino's clearly became more of a dominant payer. They changed their messaging, okay? So one of the things was, then they changed what they're doing. They added new pizza, they added a raunchy kitchen video that goes viral. So they played off of stuff at the time that would resonate with consumers, and it did. Netflix, during 2009, really difficult time, they gained 3 million subscribers, okay? So this is what they call the Nascar Effect. I'm not personally a big NASCAR fan, but I understand the concept, and they go round and round, and it actually has been the largest spectator sport in the world. So in NASCAR, it's always like, when are you going to take a pit stop? You're in the lead. And I don't know if any of you have seen the movie Ford versus Ferrari. I recommend it while you're home right now. It's a good one. But when you get into the pit stop, your competitors continue in the race. And if you get 3 to 5 laps down, you can't recover. So that's why they always time the tire changes and how you can afford to get back in and how you can't. So the messaging is that when you get down, playing catch up is harder. It's harder you spend more resources, and you can use that analogy in marketing. You have to spend more resources to play catch up than you do to stay in the game. So the idea of keeping going as long as you can and as hard as you can. And so what I know, my Irish grandmother used to always say, "This too shall pass." I know, and all the research says, this flu shall pass. And we need to be conscious when people come back at that this isn't an economic recession, although we're having economic fallout from the disease taking over our economy. The fact of the matter is the fundamentals are there. When we get back to doing business, we will recover. It'll be, fits and starts and different kinds of things, but we will recover. So this flu shall pass. The last thing, again, I'm a print media guy, but we're doing what we can digitally to respond to it. We created a hashtag Tucson Strong message on our website, and we're updating it with everybody's information, whether it's the downtown partnership about downtown restaurants or the Chamber of Commerce or Oro Valley Chamber of Commerce. We are updating our information on the website daily and trying to keep Tucson strong. So anyways, I'm grateful for the opportunity to chat with you during these dark times, and I'm really grateful to be living in Tucson. I've had a great life here. I moved here in 1975. I only planned on staying for a year to earn some money to go to school back east. I ended up going to the University of Arizona. Then after I got a degree, it's like, okay, where am I going to make a living with a college degree? And back in 1982, there wasn't a lot in Tucson, and we still struggle to keep our, educated class, younger people employed and create the right kind of jobs for them. I've had a great career here. I've raised a family, and I'm really happy as a member of Tucson Lifestyles team to be bringing good content and good copy to Tucson, and a great city deserves a great city magazine. Thanks for your time.